Hi, we're Dr. Gary and Barb Rosberg, America's Family Coaches, and welcome to House Calls. And Barb, this house calls thing is a pretty cool thing.
It is. We're so glad you're joining us because you're in the middle of our home and we want to strengthen your marriage.
We sure do. And the last time we got together with you, we began the discussion of taking our wedding vows and really bringing them to life, to cracking the code of our wedding vows. And I had kind of framed up a article for Home Life magazine that talked about cracking the code of loving, honoring, and cherishing our wife. And we also want to talk about loving and honoring and respecting our husbands today. Now, Barb, in part one, we talked about the first element, and that's the issue of demonstrating empathy within our marriages. And that's a big issue.
Oh, when we're successful with empathy, we feel fully understood and safe in our relationship so that we can let the wall down in between us and place the guardrail up around us. What a wonderful thing empathy is.
Yeah, I mean, empathy is fantastic, and kind of a little bit of a review. We said the first thing is to take the perspective of your spouse. So you kind of look through your spouse's glasses or walk in their moccasins, is a way that some people describe it. The second thing is you withhold judgment, so you're not critical of their position. Third is that you identify the emotion they're experiencing, and then if you recall, number four is to connect to that emotion. So once the empathy has occurred, Barb, does a woman feel more cherished?
We feel safe, we feel understood, we like we're loved, and when you feel loved, you feel intimate with your husband emotionally and in so many areas.
And so the second element then of cherishing our wife is the idea of nourishing our bride. And Barb, just as we nourish a plant, just as we as parents nourish our children and us our grandchildren as well now, nourishing is a way that cherishing occurs. What does it feel like to be nourished in marriage?
Well, so often a woman is the one that nourishes her family. We provide nourishment, we feed, we care for, we seem so emotionally attached and connected to those that we love. And yet, Gary, when a man seeks to nourish his wife, not as a woman would nourish others, but as only a man can spiritually and emotionally care for his wife's heart, that alone is so groundbreaking for a woman. Because when I feel like you're pulling back and you're thinking about what would nourish me, what would feed my heart. I mean, I know that you're spending time thinking about something other than you that has to do with me.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, nourishing, really is caring for.
Caring for women.
It's taking care of the needs, and so nourishing is a huge word. And Barb, I think a woman, when she flips the cherishing over to respect, and she really seeks to nourish her husband, here's what I think it feels like when you believe in me. Well, when a wife believes in her husband, when she's more curious than critical, when she speaks belief, she speaks affirming things about him and in front of other people, including her mom and her family and his mom and the kids and all the other people around. You know what, Barb? That nourishes a husband. It kind of gives a husband a little bit more, just a little bit more resiliency in his step, and the guy can tackle a lot of things when he knows that his wife is nourishing him and caring for him. Well, that's number two. Barb, number three, I think the third part of cherishing is what happens when a man admires his wife. So, baby, talk about admiring.
Well, when I think about when your husband admires you, it's as though he's holding up a mirror and he's saying, look how beautiful you are. This is why I admire you. And a man can so tenderly express words that bring out the best in his wife, as well as we as women admiring our husbands. I mean, a lot of men and women will admire your husband, but let your voice be the one true voice that he seeks to listen to and learn from, and make the tenor of that voice tender so that he knows how deeply you admire your husband.
Yeah, and you know what, Barbara? I think when admiring, from my perspective towards you, I mean, the first time I saw you, I was a goner. Do you remember it was in the driveway of a sorority house, and I was going over there to recruit volunteers, and you just pulled in your Carmen Ghia, and which was a cool little Volkswagen, a little yellow car, and you were coming into the meeting, and I saw you, and I was with a lady who's our girl that was helping me recruit, named Donna, and I just remember thinking, yippee-ki-yay, who is that? And then I went in the room and I lost you, and because there was a bunch of people in there, and I'm trying to recruit volunteers for a juvenile delinquency project of all things, but I just remember I was like smitten, and then we got set up on this blind date, which was awesome, my first and last blind date, and Barb, you know what, I admired you the first time I saw it, but I remember I admired you as I still do for your beauty and the external. But as time went on, I began to admire you for your character, and then you began to talk to me about Jesus, and I admired you because of your faith in Christ. And I remember just thinking, man, this is real to you. And I thought, you are so different. I remember I called my mom. I said, Mom, this is the one. Then my dad came to visit, and what did he say?
He said, "This is the one."
He said, this is the one, when he met Barb. And called my mom and said, this is the one. You know what, Barb, I admire you. And that, I don't always do that as well as I want to, but that's a cherishing behavior. Well, the number 4, and this one is really interesting. I was reading an article and a guy talked a little bit about when you cherish your wife, you can do one of two things. You can either warm your wife or you can chill your wife. Yeah, you call it the thrill or the chill.
I say you the thriller or you chill her. And
Thriller.
you will know when you're chilling her.
Yeah. Should I do the Michael Jackson Thriller? No. So, but here's, do you remember the game? Maybe you played this as a kid or, you saw it on Nickelodeon at night or something. But Barb, somebody would say, okay, I'm thinking of something, and try to guess what it is. And so you start walking around the room. Oh, you're getting cooler. No, you're cooler. No, you're cold. And then you start to get close to it. You're getting warmer. You're hot. You're right on it. And then you would identify the object. Yes, you got it. Well, in the same way, when we're cherishing our wife, guys, you know what? We're either warming her or we're chilling her. There's a Greek term, and I think it's telpo, and that means to warm is like a mother bird who puts her wing over the baby birds in the nest, and she warms them. You see, guys, when we're warming our wife, you know what we're doing? We're drawing her unto ourselves. When we're warming our wife, we're blessing her. We're speaking belief into her. We're affirming her. We're reminding her all over again why we're so smitten and taken with her. We're encouraging to her. We're building her esteem and her sense of who she is and the woman that God created. When we're chilling our wife, you know what? It's harsh or it's demanding or it's critical rather than any kind of affirming type of message. And then our wife begins to shut down and she puts that wall up between us and there's a distancing in that relationship. Barb, I want to cherish you and I want to cherish you better. And I know if I'm cherishing you well, and the flip side, if you're respecting me well, then we're warming each other instead of chilling each other. And so, sweetheart, with cherishing and respecting, when we're cracking this code, and cracking the code's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And I think what it looks like is we're demonstrating empathy. We're expressing and practicing admiration. We're talking about this idea of how do you nourish one another. And you're warming more than you're chilling. And you know what, Barb? Any other thoughts?
Any other thoughts? You hold my heart.
I do. We kissed after the last one, too. This could become part of the brand of House
He is
Call.
so good. I can't help but love you more.
Yeah, so I hold your heart.
You hold my heart.
I hold your heart.
You hold my heart.
You hold my heart.
That's right. He holds my heart.
Yes.
Now go hold your wife's heart.
Go hold your wife's heart. And wives, hold your husband's heart through respect. We love you guys. Bless you. And thanks so much for joining us with House Calls. So until the next time, guard your hearts.